Hi everyone, my name is Josh Fletcher. Welcome to another DS Layer podcast, and today what we're going to be covering is how to link Xcelsius and Web Intelligence through to Explorer. So the first thing I'm going to do is create an Xcelsius dashboard, and you can see here we've got some key URLs to use. So by using a trace, what we can determine is that we can actually pass search criteria directly to Explorer using this URL here. So I've got my server name, so you'd obviously replace localhost and the port number with your specific one. Then /polestar/index.jsp with a question mark and then search criteria with a capital C is equal to. What we then need to append to that URL is our search term. So within Xcelsius, let's build quite a simple dashboard that has a search box or an input text here, as well as a URL button. So the first thing we'll do is bind the input to our search term, and what we'll then do is, using the URL button, we'll actually choose the URL here. We need to make sure that we encode that URL because in this case, if we have spaces, they won't be recognized by Explorer, and then we'll call our URL button search. The next thing I wanted to show was also being able to link directly to an information space. So if we jump over to Explorer, you can see here I've got multiple information spaces. So how do we provide a link to one information space directly? Well, if we look at our trusty old eFashion dataset, you can see here we have a bookmark button. Now, what that generates, if we just bookmark this particular information space, is quite a long URL. Let's just grab that and drop it into Word. So you can see here, this generates, first of all, the application is equal to portal. We don't need that, so we can remove it. Also a document ID, that's the important one, as well as a bookmark ID. So if we wanted to provide a link to a specific information space with some filters already set up, we'd leave that bookmark ID in there because that actually contains the link to what filters have been applied. If we don't need that, we can actually remove that bookmark ID and just end up with this document ID. So that's now what we can paste into Xcelsius, which I've done here, and that is a direct link to that information space. So let's just grab another URL button, and we'll bind that URL here, and we'll call that Explore Sales Information Space. All right, so let's just shrink our Xcelsius dashboard, nice simple dashboard here, and I'll just save that and we'll export that SWIFT through to the Business Objects platform. We'll save it into my Xcelsius folder and we'll call it Xcelsius Explorer Drill Down. So while we're generating that SWIFT, let's also have a look at Web Intelligence. Now what I've done is actually pre-built a Web Intelligence report here, and my query has just state and year and sales revenue. So I've dropped in a year block here with our yearly sales as well as a chart, and also introduced a section based on the state. I've then created a new object. If we just look at that variable, what I've done is appended that same search criteria URL into the variable, as well as appending my state object. But importantly, I've had to replace any spaces with plus signs, which is how Explorer will take in multiple value inputs. It'll convert them to a space. So you can see here that that's the ended up URL. If we look at something like New York, for instance, towards the bottom, it's now put a space there. So what we'll do is we'll just save and export that report to our CMS as well. Okay, let's jump over into into InfoView and see those working. So first of all, let's look at the Xcelsius dashboard. So there's our flash file. If we just view that, we should get quite a nice little, well, very big dashboard there. So let's just reduce the size of that down. Obviously this will be part of your bigger dashboard. So first of all, let's search for New York sales 2003 for the accessories product line. Quite a specific query. If I just click search, you'll see Explorer is loaded and it's passed that search term and it's come back with my fashion sales, highlighting the sales revenue that there's a state New York, a product line accessories, and a year 2003. What about my direct link to my sales information space? Well, if we click that, again, you'll see it actually loads the fashion sales information space directly. Okay, lastly, what about my Web Intelligence report? Well, if we go to our Web Intelligence folder and look at the Webby Explorer drill down report, you'll see there that I've got my URL available. So let's have a look at New York, which had to have the space replaced with a plus sign. If I click that, it actually loads the search, well, straight from within the Web Intelligence viewer, but it's actually searched for New York. So you can see there that there's quite a few different ways where we can integrate Xcelsius and Web Intelligence with Explorer information spaces, and the same thing would also apply for Crystal if we wanted to pass URLs. And just finally, just to show that URL again there, we need to pass search criteria via the index.jsp. Thank you.
This podcast is hosted and sponsored by Technologies. Visit us on the net at savethecms.com.